Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another fantastic episode.
Fantastic. A new word.
I'm really branching out.
Other than scrumptious or wonderful or...
Fabulous. You know, I thought I'd mix it up a little bit.
Well, speaking of mixing it up, we have an incredible guest on today. One of the most local of locals, yet extremely well-traveled in the world.
Mm-hmm. And well-versed in world politics.
Extremely well-versed in world politics.
We are expanding on our guests. This is pretty big.
It's big. Ambassador Trevor Traina on today.
Yes, so tune in and enjoy.
Enjoy.
Hello, everybody, and we're back for another special treat, another field trip. We're on location.
On a weekend, even.
On a weekend, and I'm here.
Congratulations on being home on a weekend.
Thank you. It's a new concept I'm trying out. Once a month, is enough, but we have a very special guest today. Would you like to
very special guest. Both a local and a international personality.
Yeah, an international treasure.
Exactly, national treasure even, and international. He's an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. He's a vintner. He's a businessman, purveyor of fine arts. Mm-hmm. What else could we say? A vintage car enthusiast.
Yes.
And
an ambassador.
Former ambassador. I guess we should leave the best for last.
Yeah.
Trevor Traina, welcome to the podcast.
Are you kidding? What an honor to be here.
Yay!
I just wish I could live up to that intro.
Well, I know your people have been talking to our people for a long time to get you on here, and I'm glad we were able to make some time for you. So, but it's going to work out.
Yeah,
so,
it's great.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It's very perfect. And we just popped some wine. Mm-hmm. No pun intended, but... Pop 300. Can you tell us about this wine?
Definitely.
Cool.
So, Pop 300 is named after our little town of Oakville, population 300. And the grapes come from our vineyard here at To Kalon. This is actually To Kalon Estate. This is as To Kalon as it gets. Mm-hmm. And Luke Russ, who's a neighbor from Walnut Drive and is at O'Shaughnessy, makes this wine for us, and he does an incredible job.
Well, it's fantastic. I love Pinot. It tastes outstanding. You can definitely taste the sense of place, Oakville. Mm-hmm. So cheers for coming on the podcast.
Cheers,
Trevor. Yeah. Welcome. So if you don't know already, what we do on this podcast is we read the St. Helena Police Log. We comment on it. We talk about local history, local people. A little bit about wine. We wrap it all up in the end with, where you can find this wine. So, anyway, again, thanks for coming.
Yeah, and today we're going to be doing August 2022.
Okay.
And then we're doing a throwback to August 2018 because that's when you started as ambassador.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And we should talk a little bit. Can we just get a quick rundown of you were the ambassador to Austria, and what was your life like for those 3 years you did that?
That was pretty incredible. Most people don't understand what an ambassador does, but ambassador is one of the oldest positions in the U.S. government. In fact, in the Constitution for the federal branch, the only three positions mentioned are president, vice president, and emissary, which is ambassador. And our first ambassadors were Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and ambassadors literally could declare war, sign a peace treaty, sign any treaty. So it's a very specific function that almost exists outside of the rest of U.S. government.
It's very cool. Awesome. And your family has a little history with the ambassadorship to Austria as well, right?
Oh, very good.
So
you've been doing your homework, huh?
So your grandfather?
You stay in last night and do your homework on a Saturday?
I forego Anna's.
I think that Anna's may not make their quarter.
It's true.
Chris was at home on Wikipedia.
I know. It could be tough on the goose.
They feel open source.
Yeah.
But yeah, so your grandfather, right?
When I was a little boy, very little boy, my grandfather was also ambassador to Austria. So I think I'm the first American ever to take his grandparents' diplomatic posts. And you have to be confirmed by the Senate. So I was unanimously confirmed. Senate doesn't agree on a lot these days. I'm proud of that. But randomly, I'm not the only ambassador to Austria in the Napa Valley because Catherine Hall was also ambassador to Austria.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's cool. It's it's a very Napa.
Seems to be a Napa thing.
Yeah. Is there wine popular in Austria?
Well, absolutely. The Gruner Veltliners and the Rieslings. They have a region called the Wachau, which is like ground zero for sort of crisp, European white wines. In fact, the Gruner Veltliners are awesome. And then people don't know it, but the southern part of Austria, near the border with Slovenia, has like some of the world's best Sauvignon Blancs. And Parker just called that region like an international treasure because it's very specific to that one wine.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I think they are big on barrel making too, if I remember right.
It's kind of a thing, actually.
Yeah, in France, I remember champagne tasting, and they're like, "Oh, all these barrels are from Austria."
All of a sudden, Austrian wood is like, if you go to the Napa Reserve or Harlan, they're using these big Austrian barrels, which is pretty interesting.
Awesome.
Well, go Austria.
Cool. Nice. Right on.
Cool.
Kind of a lot for a small country.
I know.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're
plus
working overtime.
Throw in schnitzel,
Yeah.
They invented the snow globe, so it's a lot.
Good things.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what was your day-to-day job as chief of mission there? What would you
the closest analogy is actually president. So, the way you're almost like the president for that area of the U.S. So I had 13 representatives of different branches of government that all reported to me. So FBI, CIA, Department of Defense, Department of Commerce, Department of Agriculture. I had like 400 people who worked for me, and about half my time was just programming them for what we wanted to do in Austria, how we were going to promote commerce, collaborations, catch criminals, keep people safe. And then the other half of my day was outside the building, meeting with members of the government, members of the press, speaking to students, touring the regions, meeting the governors, meeting religious leaders, you name it, and kind of being the face of America for that region.
That's cool.
So outstanding.
And your security level, I remember was super high. Like you really had to go through
I had the
all
same security clearance as the president. It's called top secret.
Did that feel so cool?
It was interesting. I had a briefing every single day by the CIA. Wow. And also you have a lot of security because the American ambassador is pretty much the biggest target you can hit, if you are someone who doesn't like the U.S. Yep. And so you can only ride in a bomb-proof car. You have bodyguards and Marines guarding you and all kinds of things. You can't just sort of walk out your door and go grab a Junie sandwich because you do so with 3 guys with Glocks, following closely behind.
Awesome.
So cool.
Well, now you have a little newfound freedom back in the Napa Valley.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of crime.
Let's hear it, Hillary.
On 7 a.m. in August, someone kicked the door to the restroom at Lewis Station Park, so now the door won't shut.
I love how we just went from State Department, security, top secret, subcompartmentalized information to someone kicking a door at Miley
It's
Park.
violent. They kicked it.
Well, that's where you get quite a wide breadth of information on this podcast.
Yeah.
This is a very culinary entry. So this is Friday, August 17th. This is from 2018. At 3 in the morning, report of an unattended fire in a barbecue area on Main Street. Police contacted the chef, not just the cook, he's the chef, who said he would be there all night long roasting pigs that it would take 24 hours to cook.
I wonder what restaurant this was.
I think he was doing this for a party.
Oh.
Yeah. I envisioned somewhere not really Main Street.
Oh, I was picturing, behind Cook or something.
Maybe Long Meadow Ranch or Farmstead.
Okay.
I don't know. It's probably Stephen Barber out there cooking pigs.
Okay, I was picturing much more like right on Main Street.
No.
Well.
What's another good one? This is kind of fun. Thursday, August 16th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a suspicious man had been asked to leave a Main Street property at 8 a.m., but he kept returning. He was washing his feet and seemed a little confused. So there we go.
Well, at least he was hygiene.
Trevor, you got one?
I mean, it just makes me miss foot candy.
That's right. Oh my gosh. So you were an entrepreneur before you started all of that. Worked for the State Department, was an ambassador. How do you think that prepared you for that job?
Well, my first job was actually working at Gurgage Hills on the bottling line. started with sparging and also putting those little foils on the top because they had a bottling line from like 1937. The first day, you have a stack of those foils and you put them one by one by one. The bottles were coming by one a second. And so it was like an episode of I Love Lucy where she's working on the chocolate line because I, got like fought all the way back to the sealing machine and then I couldn't keep up. So I'd have to like skip 3 bottles. And then people were bringing the bottles back for me to do again. I was so embarrassed. But by the end of like a day, I could start at the machine and work my way all the way forward, like, 40 bottles ahead. And so, it was mastering things like that, allowed me to sell my first company to Microsoft.
Nice. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That was a nice transition.
That was perfect, yeah.
Totally.
But on
very
that,
similar.
Yeah, of course, right? And on that, that was probably early in the Grape Shell's heyday, right? I mean, that was soon after it had been, maybe 10 years after it had been established when you were doing that in the 80s?
I don't know. It seemed like it had been there for a long time. Everything, particularly the bottling line, had been there a very long time. Because my next job was sealing the cases and carrying them. And again, you have 60 bottles a minute coming, so you're hoisting a lot of cases. There didn't seem to be a forklift anywhere.
So learn some hard work.
Yeah. There you go.
What was this first company you sold to Microsoft?
I was a grad student at Berkeley, and I was at one of those big electronics stores trying to find a certain kind of cordless phone because I had roommates and had a speakerphone, and the guy didn't know what he was talking about and couldn't. And I was like, why can't I just go online and see every product and know exactly how they all compare before I spend money on one? And that didn't really exist, and so I started a company with a partner and called it CompareNet, and we did all kinds of electronics and products and compared them. Ran it for 3 years, and then I sold it to Microsoft, and then now if you go to MSN/shopping, that's my company. Wow. So still some of my team running it there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, and just kind of like you would log on to any business and see that, the side-by-side comparison of
it's like if you're going to spend some money. I mean, we even did like, chainsaws and skis and, you're going to pick up a Husqvarna, you want to be sure it's the one you want, right? Because first you have to learn how to pronounce it.
So how do you start something like that? You find a buddy who's interested in the same thing. You started with a team.
Yeah. I always dreamed of having my own company. I just had no idea what it would be,
right.
But I just thought this is a great idea. It's perfect for the internet. And so to be honest, I literally knew nothing. I just scraped a little money together from my family and hired a few people, found a technical person who could build it for me, and hired some college kids to start researching and just started. It's like, I always say it's like that scene in The Matrix where right when they get into the helicopter, they're like, I need to download a program to fly a helicopter. You don't need to do that. You already know how to fly. But like, that's what being an entrepreneur is like. You just, the second you need to know something, you need to know how to learn it real quick. And then, because you don't have the luxury of already knowing everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's fantastic. So
even if you're a helicopter pilot.
I tell you, man.
Is that what you do every time you get in? You like
have
Google,
to refresh.
How to...
He does a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Like he does a 3-minute YouTube, and he's like, I can fly this Sikorsky.
Yeah.
No problem.
It's true. I did go to fly an airplane the other day, and I had to look up how to start it again on YouTube. And I was like, that's right. That's how we do that.
I will fully admit there are some procedures that I will YouTube that I've like maybe done in school, but it's been, it's been a while since I've done that stitch. So I'm like, let me watch it one more time.
YouTube is great for that. It's literally, it's a low-grade version of The Matrix. We can plug right into it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's only going to get better. That's cool. Hey, what is it? Watch one, do one, teach one?
Yeah.
There you go.
Totally.
Nice.
I just watch,
and then drink one.
And drink one.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Particularly when flying.
So how did you get linked up with Luke Russ? Just because he's local, lives on the same lane?
So, my parents bought this place, before I was born. To Kalon was owned by the Rainier Brewing Company. And so Robert Mondavi bought most of the land, but didn't buy the estate. And my parents bought the estate, which has a few acres, and the house of Mr. Crab, right? And so I grew up here, and so I knew my neighbors. And probably soon to be my most famous neighbor is Graham McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
Graham and his brother Alex are making MacDonald wine on their family's part of To Kalon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's third generation on this road here on Walnut Drive. And but Luke's another one of our neighbors, and you probably know his mom has the bookstore on Main Street in St. Helena.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dieterts are also our neighbors, and so we all grew up as friends. And before the closest I ever came to the top of Mount St. John was with a Dietert and a McDonald's, but hacking through the underbrush of.
That's the South Ascent.
There we go.
It's a hard one.
They call that the idiot's descent, ascent, I think. But so that's how I know Luke.
Cool. No, yeah, you guys have some incredible neighbors, and just the history here. I mean, for those who don't know what To Kalon is, I mean, it's not even arguably it is, I'd say, the most famous vineyard in California.
Oh, yeah. I think in America.
100% in America, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe even the world. I mean, it's H.W. Crabbe was the guy. I mean,
he lives right here.
That was it. This is his house.
Yeah.
Cool. Whose do you think wine was the one that really put To Kalon on the map? Do you think there's one specific one, or just a few that kind of all?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's probably a slow burn to what it is today. I mean, everyone's continued to.
Yeah, I mean,
make
I think
fantastic wine.
Robert Mondavi put Napa on the map, right?
Yeah.
And he owned most of To Kalon.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Beckstoffer took over from BV, his part of To Kalon, he started farming it, to quote unquote perfection and charging astronomical prices. And great wines came from that, Schrader and Realm and many other, wines made from To Kalon grapes. And then suddenly it was a thing.
Yeah.
But this was like one of the biggest wine companies. I mean, the train tracks came right here to this property, because they were sending To Kalon wine around the country.
How cool.
Yeah. And this is also before even the vineyards was a Native American settlement, right? And To Kalon, if I'm correct, means land of great beauty.
To Kalon means land of high grape prices.
That's perfect.
It's Greek.
That makes sense.
Nice.
That tracks.
That's perfect. So, well, one day we'll have to sit down with Graham too. He's a very cool family, cool story.
Oh yeah, he's so close to the land. It's
and he's your historian basically for To Kalon, right?
He is. Yeah. In fact, the creek is now officially To Kalon Creek here.
Very nice.
Cool.
Etc.
How cool.
Thanks to Graham.
Good for him. Good guy.
And so you've seen the valley. I mean, you grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think it's kind of changed for the better and for the worse?
I think it's sort of like it used to be a much simpler place, and there were, not so many restaurants and not so much stuff. And then it like really, really, really grew. And then it kind of like, consolidated a little bit. And now, it's sort of in a mature phase. But I mean, I remember when all the no wine train signs used to be up, and people were really against a lot of this kind of development. But I think now people are more appreciative that, we want great food and, we want tourists and we want to sell wine and we need markets. And so, and also we want to preserve stuff. It's like the Cameo Theater or, markets like, the Oakville Grocery or all that stuff, But like when I was a really young kid, Mr. Junie was the postmaster here in Oakville. And, you'd see him behind the counter and, people ate at Piatti, and that was like the great restaurant of Yountville, and the diner. And then, there's been a lot of change.
Yeah, especially in Yountville.
Yeah.
Especially in
a lot of
Yountville,
change in Yountville.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I never thought Vasconi's would close or, places like that I've gone to my whole life.
I know.
Sure.
That was sad.
So as a child growing up here, what fun would you get into? What trouble would you get into? What would you do? Have you made the police log? If there's anything you can say without, getting in trouble.
I think, it was more go-karts and motorcycles in the vineyards. Some light trespassing.
Yeah, of course. I'm familiar. Equally guilty.
Definitely. Some things like that. But, beyond that, pretty much good citizen.
I mean, you did pass your security clearance for
That's true.
CSSCI. That's good.
Yeah, although I had to explain how I've been to both Cuba and North Korea.
Well, you're gonna have to explain that on the podcast right now because you have my attention.
Well, the Cuba one was easier.
Sure. Seriously though,
they don't like people going to Cuba, but you can if you go on an exchange.
We learned this the hard way when I tried to Venmo you as a joke for Cuba flights.
Yeah.
I put Havana flights as my tagline.
I think the FBI was notified, and
they shut down my Venmo, and I had to write a whole email explaining that I wasn't actually buying. I was paying you for a goose and gander drink. It was $16. That would be a heck of a deal on a flight. But
it would be, although flights are cheap in Cuba.
Yeah. So I'd explain that it was a joke. We'd been talking about Cuba. I'm not actually going to Cuba, and they gave me my Venmo back. Thank goodness. But I got flagged.
It's something you have to explain. It's like so you have some explaining to do.
So what did you do in Cuba?
So Cuba, I just went with some friends.
Cool.
Actually, my wife, Alexis Swanson Traina, her mother's Cuban. So we didn't go with her mom, but we wanted to see Cuba. In North Korea, I did this thing called the Gumball Rally. It's like a road rally. So every year it's 3,000 miles. But every year it's a different course. And the year I did it, we went to North Korea, and then we drove our cars through China.
Wow.
So
no way.
that was challenging.
What was most challenging? Just the security?
There's no GPS for us, right? So,
it's all blocked and jammed.
If you get off the highway, first of all, you can't read a damn thing. No signs, nothing. So you have to go looking for a gas station. And then you fuel up, and then you don't know how to get back on the highway. And there's no sign that just says, "Oh, highway that way." There's no GPS, and so you have to ask people how do I get on the highway? And it was actually kind of stressful. Things we just take for granted right now. God forbid I wanted one of those dangling air fresheners or something like that, or a bobblehead at the gas station. I wouldn't even have known how to ask for it.
How did the security, the diplomatic clearance go through to get there? To actually get that approval?
It was very complicated. I actually called Geico and I was like, am I approved to drive my car in China? And they're like, no. And then I was like, am I approved to drive my car on the Formula One racetrack in China? And they're like, that's a double no. And so I had to buy supplemental car insurance, and all these little things. We had to get effectively a driver's license for China. And
wow, I wouldn't even think of all that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
What was more difficult to operate in, North Korea or China, as far as
I'd say Napa DMV.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Spent a lot of quality time there lately.
Hillary is an expert with Napa DMV and her motorcycle license.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a rundown on your
of the journey?
On your journey to become a motorcyclist?
So, apparently the motorcycle driving test is much more difficult than one might anticipate.
Didn't you have to go to Vallejo to finally pass?
No, I went to Santa Rosa, and I failed. I hit a cone. It is much harder, and I really stand by, I think it'd be easier on a motorcycle than my Vespa, because a motorcycle is it's a lot lighter in the front, and you can kind of whip around, where my Vespa, I'm convinced, is heavier. It was a journey. I hit a cone, I failed, I'd done it 4 times perfectly in the parking lot before the test. So then I had to go take the motorcycle driving course in Oakland.
Okay.
Which was also an experience. So I've gone to DMV probably 6 times in the past, over this summer, but I finally am licensed. Have I driven a motorcycle? No, but I'm licensed.
See, if you could just cry on demand, during the test, you could have probably got enough sympathy to let him take it again.
Yeah.
I tried, and it was one of those hot days, and I was wearing jeans, because you have to be fully in gear, and I was just dripping sweat. I'm like, come on, I drove all the way over here. I took work off early.
Did they let you drive your Vespa back even after you
I
failed?
put it in the back of my dad's truck. I was too scared to drive it over the hill.
That sounds quite dangerous.
It's really terrible.
I know, but it all worked out. I'm licensed now.
We should have just downloaded the program right before you did it.
I know.
The Matrix.
I know. I should have had self-drive mode on my Vespa.
Why is that not?
Or uses Chris's YouTube account.
Yeah, that's what I needed.
My algorithm is really weird.
I feel that. Yeah. That's how mine is. Some of the things I Google at work, I'm like, oh, this This seems odd. I'm looking this up.
Why is this popping up? Oh man! Well, here's a fun one. Speaking, you could do this patrol in a Vespa because on August 20th at 11 o'clock, a Doris Court resident. I don't even know where Doris Court is. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Look it up.
Doris Court resident asked police to do an extra patrol with the patrol car's windows down due to a continual problem with barking dogs. The dogs were quiet at the moment, but the caller was certain they would start up again. So you could be like the roving dog patrol
That would be fun.
in your Vespa. I think you just capture them all and hug them.
It's off of kind of between Madrona and Spring Mountain.
Oh, okay. Learn some every day.
Sure.
It's
Geography lesson.
educational bit for
There you go,
911.
Well, I have some scandalous things on my street.
Ooh.
Report of a dirty, in quotes, man with a garbage bag and a suitcase on Mitchell Drive. The caller said he'd been there for a long time and, in quotes, doesn't look like he belongs there. She said he kept staring at her when she was getting her groceries down. This
It's probably
was at
just someone
2
running
p.m.
for mayor.
Yeah.
Probably.
2 p.m.
Pounding the pavement.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's quite a bit of scandal on your street at 6:11 p.m. On the 18th of August. Report of 3 young men, possibly underage, drinking beer in a pool near Mitchell and St. James. I mean, the nerve these 3 young men must have to drink beer in their own pool.
How dare they?
Wild. Absolutely wild.
How dare they?
You sure it wasn't your brother?
It probably was.
Yeah. He does look young. His skincare routine is working out.
Have you been swapping skincare tips or
No,
something?
but I need Trevor's skincare. Are you kidding me? God, how do you do it? Seriously.
I just drink a lot of wine.
That's perfect. Yeah.
It's the polyphenols, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
A little tannin in
That
there
works.
keeps everything tight.
There you go.
That works, absolutely.
So what's on the what are your plans here going forward as you're finished being an ambassador? I mean, gosh, what do you do after getting the coolest job in the government? What do you do next?
Well, spend a lot of time in the valley.
Yeah.
No, I started another company.
Really? Cool.
My 6th company.
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know if you know about the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
The blockchain is what we call Web 3.0. Web 1.0 was the World Wide Web, right? Basically email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Web 2 was internet services like social media, search, etc., that are kind of more consolidated, walled garden type services. And Web 3 are distributed, more individual services using the universal ledger and smart contracts, basically the blockchain, right? So you probably know people who trade crypto, like cryptocurrencies. That's one use of the blockchain. Another is NFTs. But there's all kinds of things. And so what I'm creating is almost like the America Online or the AOL of Web3. Kind of like the first portal or consumer gateway, so simple that everyone can now enjoy all the benefits of Web3. Kind of like Facebook meets Google meets, whatever for Web3. And it's called Croesus.
Okay.
It's launching next month in the App Store. So
Be
a
on the
lot of work
lookout.
to be done right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's exciting. Cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to feature it on 911. I'm sure you'll.
There you go.
You may really get the 911 bump from this.
There you go.
At least
I know.
3 to 4 more subscriptions.
Definitely.
One will be my mother.
One will be me.
Yeah, definitely. There'll be a
Nice.
big bump.
That's big.
For sure. And probably that guy in the garbage bag,
Yeah.
who's loitering at
Yeah.
2 p.m.
You
I think
could
so.
hire him, and we could really.
I'm sure he's listening right now.
Yeah.
Good,
I think
good
so.
synergy going on.
He's our big marketing tool.
There you go. Yeah, I know. That's guerrilla marketing.
Yeah. We have to keep the log kind of interesting, so we
For
hire
sure.
people to just go lurk on the streets, and bored people will obviously call them.
There you go. Probably the guy washing his feet also is on your
Yes.
payroll too,
Yes.
right?
It's a really lucrative podcast, so
There
we
you
can
go.
hire all these people.
That's true. And Alexis just launched a cool app too.
High Note.
Yeah.
Right? Tell us about High Note.
Well, you can go to the App Store. High Note Modern Messaging, it's called. No, it's really cool. And High Note is based on the fact that 3 or 4 years ago, everyone was using email, right? So because of that, there was all kinds of expressive email. Paperless post, minted, you could do Christmas cards, you could do invitations, or even brands could send you a branded email, right? But now everyone texts, and text is just like a little bubble, like a gray or green or blue bubble with no personality or color or branding or images. So High Note allows you to instantly create these clever, cool, funny messages that you can text on anything from Apple to Instagram to WhatsApp to Twitter, and they could be, a note, a thank you, an invitation. You can drop a photo in and make it a holiday thing. Or brands can send branded messages. Like, how often have you been at the airport and you get a text from 7491 saying your gate has now changed to F22, right? Mm-hmm. But imagine if that actually showed the logo of the airline and looked cool.
A picture of where it was.
And cool. So that's high note.
Yeah,
much
super
cooler.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, text messages haven't really done anything for 20 years.
They're cute and personalized. Like, my mom will send my brother and I little high notes like, I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, and it's like geared into
cool.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like since the emoji, there hasn't been anything fresh or personalized.
And I just learned how to use an emoji recently. So.
See, there you go.
Wow.
The guy step up my game.
Guy can fly a helicopter, but he can't text.
Yeah. Well,
very true. My texting skills are pathetic, actually abysmal. Yeah. Anyway.
But with your red receipts, you've come a long way.
I have. I put the red receipts on so that it requires me to, if I open it, write back. Otherwise, you don't want to leave anyone on red.
There you go.
It's rude.
Some of us still get left on red, but I just still fuck you.
That's fine. That's the way it should be.
But I don't take it personally.
Please don't.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
True.
Exactly. Do you have any other fun crime logs?
Do
you have any, Trevor? Any fun ones?
Oh, I mean, there's quite a lot going on in the neighborhood, isn't there? To look like.
This is very saintly. A report of lost property: a tennis bracelet lost on the previous Saturday on Oak Avenue.
Uh-oh.
3 paint cans found by an officer on Kearney Street in Hillview. Items taken to police headquarters. I'm sure they appreciate free paint. Report of a man urinating on Money Way. That was 100% behind.
Anna's.
No. A local.
Oh, a local
bar. Local Main Street bar, as it would be called in the police law.
Yeah. Police took a report on a fraudulent jackhammer rental on Vintage Avenue.
Wow.
Oh.
Detailed.
I mean, I didn't know you could fraudulently rent a jackhammer.
Sounds
I didn't either.
Quite a bit of effort.
Sounds like a Craigslist scam.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Then there's the thing, the 46-year-old Angwin woman on suspicion of DUI.
Curious how that happened.
Where'd she buy it?
Yeah. Not in England.
No, definitely not.
Had to import.
Yeah.
She
didn't mail one of those wine subscription services just directly to the house.
Yeah. It was probably marked as household cleaner.
Yeah.
Olive oil.
Exactly.
Olive oil. Remember that time I tried to send wine to our intern? And I labeled it as olive oil and I got in trouble.
Yes, I did.
Anyway.
Also, a bush was protruding over the sidewalk on Paulson Court. A neighbor has asked the owner to trim it. I mean, it must have been very fast growing.
I guess so. I'm surprised the neighbor just didn't go over there and chop it.
That is what your dad would do.
100%. That's what
and
my
has
father
done,
would have done.
and made it into the police log for that.
There you
go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, a family reported being chased by foxes in the El Bonita area.
Wow.
Were they rabid, do you think? And how many foxes?
And then what eating them? Wow. I feel you see much more wildlife in the To Kalon area. Have you seen all the wildlife down here?
I didn't know that foxes were chasing people down in the El Bonita area.
Are foxes nocturnal?
Probably. I see them at night. I mean, if I'm being chased by anything, a fox would be great. They're so cute.
Yeah, you get chased by foxes at Anna's after 11. Generally from a wedding party. But
we do need to do an episode live in Anna's.
Definitely.
You couldn't hear anything.
Near the pool table.
With DJ Flamingo.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. He's your buddy.
Yeah. He's our group text name.
As it should be. If you're being chased by a wild animal, what would be your preferential old car to take? Because you have quite a good selection of old vehicles.
I thought you were going to say what animal.
It would depend on what animal.
No, what animal? Okay, well, let's make one. Hillary, you choose.
A jackrabbit.
Jackrabbit. Oh, come on. That would I know his answer for the jackrabbit already.
Would it be rabid?
No, it would be friendly.
It's a friendly jackrabbit.
Friendly.
Oh.
I can't outrun a rabid animal.
Yeah.
I know my cardiovascular abilities.
I could take a convertible for that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, which vehicle did you take through North Korea and China? Which was that?
That was an Audi R8.
That was the Audi. Okay, cool.
Audi R8. Yeah.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Do you think your life would have been different if you'd have taken Herbie?
I think Herbie would have made it about 100 miles, and then I would have been, long distance calling my mechanic in Napa.
For sure.
Do you want to talk about you and Richard's experience?
I will. I'll give you the quick rundown. So this almost made it in the Napa Valley Police log. Richard calls me. Help! Trevor's bug, which is Herbie, which is like an actual
1966 Beetle.
1960s Beetle, just like the love bug. Just stalled right at, was it Madison and 29? Right at the turn lane at the stoplight. Help, come, I'm stuck in here, right? So I drive down, I pull in right behind him.
Fire truck so you could
I thought about it. I was like, if I take the rescue, I could put the lights on and it'll be a little safer.
Yeah, that's what I was envisioning.
Instead, poor decision. I took my truck, didn't have any lights, pulled in behind him, put my four-ways on, got out of the truck, and then realized I was very close to oncoming traffic. Ooh. Anyway, Richard's sitting in there like an old lady at a parking lot, just looking straight ahead, sitting in the turn lane. It doesn't even see me. I'm like, dude. He's like, oh, push me. I'm like, why don't you help yourself a little bit? So he gets out. We both push. We wait for the green light. We push Herbie across the road right into the R&D parking lot, and then proceed to go have a snack at R&D. But anyway, and then I'm like, oh crap, got to go get my truck. So I run back across the street. There's like a line of like 10 people waiting.
Yeah, when there were cars waiting, did you just keep flagging them around?
No, they just stayed. I mean, it was very quick. This was like a 2-minute process. So I got my truck. We went to...
That's fast responder.
It was fine, yeah. It's what I live for in Rutherford.
You were a first responder.
There's an emergency, and I'm there. So.
Well, good for you for picking up his phone call.
I'll have you know, Herbie was in the Father's Day car show at the V Marketplace several years ago. Cool. Yeah, and was a star attraction.
Well, there we go. That's beautiful. And you have your VW little bus.
Yep, that's called the 21 window. That's right.
There we go.
Yeah,
cool.
That's also from the 1960s.
This was in a book, even
on the cover of From Napa with Love,
which was
by Alexis Swanson Traina.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. That is my favorite gift to mail people. Like after they've come to visit, or it's like a house.
It's a great book.
It's so cool. The best book.
It's like Napa, like Napa.
It's quintessential everything.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah. So when people come to visit, or like I need a housewarming gift, like that's what I give them.
Yeah, we're gonna link this to the show notes. So
absolutely.
I'm sure. That'd be fun. And that. So, what's the history with the old VW bus? Where did you get that?
I found it in Colorado and flew out, checked it out, and I had it shipped out here. Mm-hmm. It was unloaded right here in Oakville. Packed everyone into the bus, drove it up to Angwin. Halfway up the road, it only first gear would work, and it basically the entire transmission fell out. Was able to get it into a parking lot, Uber home, and ended up hiring a guy up on Wall Road off of the Oakville grade who had to put an entirely new engine into it at great expense.
Yes.
But he reassures me he does all of Joel Gott's buses, so he really knows what he's talking about. Cool. And now it's got a souped up engine, and it actually runs really well.
Nice.
And you can pack people into it. Like it's like a clown car.
You can take people wine tasting, whoever.
I mean, you can fit like 14 or 15 people in there if you really want to.
How fun.
That's nuts. Don't tell Hillary that. She'll
safely, of course.
Of course, everyone has a seatbelt. She'll ask the bar for a birthday party and bring all of her friends to.
Definitely.
Forget the fire truck. I'm moving on.
I'm moving on.
You really need a motorcycle license to drive it, though.
Well, I'm all set.
Oh, okay.
I'm all set.
I see.
We're preparing for this. I've been waiting for my moment.
Mm-hmm. I love
it. Yeah, but no, my dad kept in his Oakville property all kinds of old cars, and so my brother and I have several of them, and they're also really fun. Nice. Cars from like the 50s and even the 40s. Mm-hmm. My brother has like a Woody,
cool,
from the 40s. I have his 57 Alfa Romeo convertible, which most recently I stalled at Kelly's in Yountville and had to call AAA.
It seems like a little bit of
it's a great place,
triangle.
Great place to break down.
Yeah.
And, you have scones.
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs, soft serve ice cream. It's like, what more do you need?
The Bermuda Triangle of Napa.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Free copies of the Yountville Sun.
It's perfect.
There we go. So we'd like to ask our guests, so you have one night in Napa. We'll ask you, what are you going to drive to dinner? Where are you going to dinner? What are you going to order? What are you going to drink at dinner?
Just one night?
Just one night.
Oh my God, the pressure.
I know.
Yeah, I think it depends on what I'm driving too, right? I mean, like, definitely Goths would be up there, but like super guilty pleasure is really the Rutherford Grill. So I think I'd probably take my 1970 Ford Ranger XLT truck to the Rutherford Grill. For sure, I'd have the artichokes, and then either the French dip or. Kind of crazy about their sausages, which great. And then I'd have probably the Lewis Alex blend, or or Lewis Cab, which they always have, and I love Lewis. I think they're one of our like go-to, not too expensive, but really yummy, super Napa, fruit forward, lots of oak,
Nice.
We get the Rutherford Grill as an answer a lot.
Yeah, it's perfect. And to drive a pickup truck there is absolutely perfect.
It's like it's never the wrong answer. And, we go to the French Laundry and we go to all and I love a lot of restaurants up here. I mean, my wife and I love to go out. But, just like consistency and yumminess, Rutherford Grill. Although they did change their remoulade sauce recently, which I'm not happy about. And, they're messing with a couple recipes.
They changed their cornbread.
I know.
That's a problem.
They've messed with a few things.
I will go on the record, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's dangerous to start messing with perfection.
Yeah.
Because people can get angry and then gets into the police report.
There you go. You're full circle.
Exactly.
So Trevor, at your house in San Francisco and here, and you guys have some incredible like artwork. You're a purveyor of not only fine vehicles but fine art. It's very cool.
Can't live on bread alone, right? No, my family has always been like into art. My parents collect, my grandparents. And it's kind of a privilege to be able to pick up some pieces and string them together. And it's always interesting what makes a collection, right? Because it's just two eyeballs and one brain that like a bunch of things.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite artists or pieces? Sorry.
No. I was going to ask the same thing. Do you have a few favorite pieces?
Yeah, well, I mostly collect photography. And part of the reason why is, I wanted to start collecting like American paintings, but I realized I just couldn't afford the great stuff, when I started collecting. And so I liked photography because, the pieces were still affordable and the masterpieces still available, so you can really build a great collection. And I like sort of seeing the world around me, like through the eyes of different photographers. And so I just started picking up, and hundreds of works later and a bunch of museum shows, the collection is still growing.
Where do you go to find that? Shows or direct to
auctions, galleries, private sales. It just depends.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that was cool. In Austria, the embassy you guys got to decorate.
That's right. And also kind of the big museum in Vienna, which is called the Albertina, did an exhibition called American Photography. And they borrowed, a whole bunch of work from my collection. And it was cool because it was telling the story of America just as I was trying to tell the story of America. This is a great way to do outreach.
Wow, cool. Yeah, and you can bring everyone there and talk about the mission and talk about what makes it special.
Show them the faces and spaces of America.
Cool. Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, I think being, at the embassy residence, you picture it to be kind of this more like, not stuck up, but kind of white walls, boring experience, but it was incredible. Like the way it was painted, all the art you brought in. It
really brought it to life.
Very special. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very jealous you got to go. It's so cool.
It was very cool. Yeah. I mean, I'll remember it forever.
Yeah.
And also, I think photography is a very young medium. And, I was young to become an ambassador, and it was kind of nice to show like a fresher side of America. And I thought that was another cool aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Any last few good
logs
ones before we...
I have a report of a fist fight on Grayson Avenue involving 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman.
Okay.
Officers investigated, didn't find any signs of a physical altercation, though the 31-year-old Sacramento female was arrested for an outstanding misdemeanor warrant.
Cool.
Well, I'm guessing like there's probably only one place in the whole valley where this police report item could have come from. A blade valued at over $2,000 was reported stolen from a local building. The matter is under investigation.
A blade?
I bet that's the knife shop on Main Street.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know any other.
It's got to be, right? Who else would have a blade? It's not going to be Steve's.
I was going to say Steve's would have a $2,000.
God bless
No, definitely
Maybe
not.
one of those like blades off the
Central Valley, I don't think so. Don't think so.
Or the old motors I'm thinking of with the giant like propellers. Would that be called a blade?
I have no idea. Perhaps.
Maybe
You're an aviation man. Come on now.
Maybe it was used to trim that bush protruding over the sidewalk on Paulson Court.
He's tied it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Did we have any fun like next door postings from the St. Helena Police Department ones?
I don't know, but I haven't checked the next door lately. It's always fun.
I check it every day, but
yeah. How do you feel about next door, Trevor?
Well, I'm an interested party. Since I was one of the first investors in Nextdoor.
Actually, where did it start? Where did Nextdoor start?
San Francisco.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and I actually started 2 neighborhoods for them.
Cool.
And some people say, "Oh, it's whiny, whatever," but I think it's really interesting to know what goes on in your neighborhood, and like, there's kind of no detail too small to not want to know about it. Yeah. I think.
Well, the recent drama on our next door is 2 people have been kicked off.
Ooh.
Kim, R.I.P.
Yeah. Again?
Oh, God, we love Kim. I love Kim's perspective on things.
I do too.
She's fantastic.
And so it's always, I guess
and she should not be kicked off. We should start like a revival to like bring.
There are like citizen moderators who go over, because I'm a moderator, and I always try to like air if it's entertaining or interesting or like
absolutely.
You kind of want to keep it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah,
it's fun.
So, but she, I guess, got the boot, and then the citizen moderators were saying, "Well, we don't have the power to do that." And so it's a whole scandal. Wow. There's like 80 comments.
You know what? In looking at old history, we're going back to history. Looking at all the old newspapers from like the early 1900s, that was their next door. That was their Facebook. So and so took a trip. So and so went to Napa for the weekend. So and so went to San Francisco. Announcements, weddings, engagements, parties, weekend things. It was great.
Job openings.
Yeah, yeah. So we've just reinvented the newspaper, but
digitally. But we still.
But we can look at it on our phone. And thank God for the police log.
Do you have one more to send?
One more. Let's see. This is at night, midnight. Caller reports a dead animal, potentially a possum, on Pope Street. So, R.I.P. possum.
Did it say it was dead?
They know how to spell it properly, though.
Oh, the fancy way.
The fancy way. Gosh. Trevor, thanks so much. This has been a blast.
Are you kidding? I'm
great insight.
Honored that I qualified to be a guest on this.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Yeah,
definitely.
A lot of different.
Cool
what's so cool about Trevor, man? He's got so many different jobs. He does Renaissance man, all these different cool
but
things.
Still in Napa
so
Valley
local. Yeah, and that's what you realize about doing this podcast is all the people you get to meet. They're not just in Napa; they're worldly people. They get to do all sorts of different cool stuff.
Well, I think the valley just cultivates that.
We do. Yeah, it's neat.
Napa has all the most important and interesting people.
Fantastic.
I agree too. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah.
And where can we get Pop 300?
Oh, I don't know. I think
talk to Luke.
You're going to have to talk to Luke Ress about that. I think you can find it in fine shops in and around the Oakville area.
Probably in the Oakville
grocery.
I think it's probably at the Oakville grocery.
Yeah.
Right next to yours.
And the label here, what do we have? A bunch of poppies, yes?
300 poppies.
Cool.
Because it's Pop 300. Nothing to do with opium.
Yeah. Glad we clarified.
Perfect. And it's a mailing box, P.O. Box 38 in Oakville, in case you need to reach them.
That's good.
Cool.
Local.
Yeah. And that's a low number. It's big street cred.
It is. Do you guys have rural delivery here? No, you don't. You have a P.O. box as well.
P.O. box in Oakville.
This is really living out in the woods.
Oh,
in
yeah.
The sticks.
Definitely.
Yeah. Same thing on Nebaum Lane. No rural delivery.
Yeah. P.O. box. God love him.
Wow.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Cheers.
Trevor, cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Hillary, now we've had our first ambassador on the podcast.
This was a special treat.
How do you feel?
President next. Do we think he'll be down?
Perhaps.
Maybe we start with mayor of
We
St.
could do mayor. That would be a good start.
I think
mayor,
we start, but
supervisors.
I would say start small, but this was huge.
That was big. It was big. It was a lot of fun. What a cool family, cool history. Great conversation, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
Bye.
Enjoy your evening and be safe.